Welcome to Side by Side Games. I'm Alokin, an advanced gamer.
And I'm Oceanwolv, a casual gamer.
We're a husband and wife duo reviewing video games from different gamer perspectives to help you and your person find your next two-player game.
We discuss pros and cons and then break down the game into four categories: co-op ability, production quality, gameplay mechanics, and overall fun.
Let's get into it.
Today is a very fun and exciting game review because we just finished a game that came out last week. It is called Split Fiction, and spoiler, we love this co-op game.
Yeah, we absolutely love it.
So the TLDR for Split Fiction is it is a breathtaking co-op experience with stunning visuals, intuitive gameplay, and a deeply immersive story. Its accessibility options, seamless teamwork mechanics, and emotional narrative make it a game of the year contender, though it's so fun, we wish that it was longer.
That is a perfect TLDR for our experience. I'm going to hop right into the overview. The price for this game, we purchased it on Steam for $50, and over the week, we've played it roughly a little bit over 30 hours to complete. This is a couch local co-op game, although we did play it on two screens. And it's a little bit about this game. If you're interested, Split Fiction is a unique action-adventure experience that keeps you on the edge of your couch with unexpected moments. One minute you're taming adorable dragons, and the next you're fighting as cyber ninjas. Join Mio and Zoe on this epic adventure exploring different worlds. With that, we can hop right into our pros and cons. I can start with my pros. Um, First one for me is the extensive features and accessibility. Right off the gate, going into the options, being able to set a lot of individual accessibility
Yeah.
features, whether it was for each character or each player. Just really loved that. Sometimes in games, you can't set it for specific players. You
Mm-hmm.
have to set one thing for you both, and sometimes you just don't play the game the same. So I loved that, and that's a huge pro. Second,
And then adding to that though, like the UX and UI to set the accessibility options was very easy, and we could change it in the game.
oh, super easy. Yeah,
So
we even
that
changed it
that
on the
was
fly sometimes.
amazing.
Yeah. Second pro for me was high level cinematic production. This felt like we were playing a game, but it
Yeah,
was also a movie.
totally.
Every detail is amazing. I'll talk a bit more about that later. And then the last one is one of a kind experience. We've played roughly over 100 co op games in the last decade, and this is incredibly unique. And there really
Mm-hmm.
is nothing like this game.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm going to remember. So, yeah, those are my pros. What about you?
My pros, the first one being is that it's a beautifully crafted world and story. Like there's nothing I feel like, Split Fiction is untouchable with its art. Like I mean, I love Diablo and everything, but Diablo is an open world, so it's like top view down. You don't really get to experience the world like how we've experienced Split Fiction. And so that's just like a huge pro is they just take so much time in creating
Mm-hmm.
a world for us, not just like
So
the
much
character and the
time.
story, but Split Fiction is all about the world and really being in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second pro I wrote or I have is that I love the side stories that they have in the game. And side stories are really just side quests that the characters get to go on. I just felt like that's a really delightful experience in the game, and I love that every side story is different.
Yeah.
And then the last pro that I have with Split Fiction is I love the diverse range of gameplay it has.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like, jumping and running on the walls and like hanging on a like or swinging. Like those are vital and those are kind of like the key gameplay mechanics, but it's not just that. You it requires so much more ability, and I love that it fulfills every gamer's like strength into the game.
Yeah, that's a great point. I just want to add on to that what you said. I thought was such a good point is that you learn those foundational mechanics like right off the bat, but every time you play, you're learning something new. But you always have to remember those because you're going to keep coming back to it.
Yeah, for sure. What are your cons? Which I felt like, you and I, it was kind of hard for us to come up with cons. So these cons are very like um getting, what is the way of saying it? Like picky or something?
Yeah, yeah. This is like scraping the bottom of the barrel. There's really not a lot of cons you can find in this game, but if we had to be very picky about the game, I would say my top three cons are that there was some moments that I felt a little motion sickness in the game,
Yeah, same here.
with some of the camera movements and the angles, and because I have really bad motion sickness, I definitely felt it.
Well,
Also,
even for me who doesn't get like motion sickness um
oh, you felt it too?
easily, yeah, like
Oh,
it's just that it's the camera angles for sure, and like the back and forth, and like I hate like the direction or the cinematography, is that what it's called, like where
mm-hmm.
it's like a 360 view.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
like when it's spinning.
yeah, I really don't like that.
Yep.
um but there are moments like that in the game, so just
Yeah.
beware.
In the 30 hours that we played, there must have been like maybe 5 moments
Yeah.
where I got a little motion sickness. And also, throughout the game, when you're two players on the same screen, I felt that it would have been helpful to have some player indicators so that
Yes.
you could know which one you were.
Yeah.
Sometimes the characters got really tiny on the screen and you couldn't really tell them apart just based on their
Yeah.
clothing. And so it would have been nice to
Yeah.
have some sort of player indicator, like a highlight or something like that, in those moments. But of course,
Yeah.
don't want to take away from the artwork of the game either. So I'm trying to find that balance. And then the last con is not even a con; it's actually a pro, which is that it was so freaking fun that I just wish that
Yeah.
the game was longer. I honestly didn't want it to
Literally.
stop. When we got to the ending, we knew it
I
was ending.
know.
I felt a really sad pit in my
Yeah.
stomach because I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
Like it's the
it's
end.
yeah,
It's the
exactly.
end.
So
Yeah.
your turn for your cons now.
Yeah, that's definitely my con as well. That's like, I just feel like the game is not long enough. It's just such an amazing world, and like the game has it's very clear in like there's part 1 and there's part 2. Because part 1 is one character, and then part 2 is focused on the other character. I really wish that there was a part 3 where it's the end of the game. And whereas like the game they built is more of like, this is the last chapter. Now we're just kind of closing out the game, and you get to defeat the boss um, quite a few times. But I really wish that it was an actual part 3 where it took us like another day to complete,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's just like, I don't want this game to end, and I love the world. I love just like literally pausing to look at every angle of the world. But
yeah,
yeah, totally agree that the con is that it's just not long enough. And I do feel like with Split Fiction, I felt shorter than It Takes Two.
yeah.
I don't know why, but it just felt like it took so it was just so much shorter compared to the other game. And then my other two cons is that I felt like the mechanics were sometimes hard to um like use, because sometimes it could be like the same button for one task. Like
Mm-hmm.
you either like click it many times or just click it once, or in another scene you have to use the same button but you have to hold it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like the memory, like the physical finger memory of playing that mechanic was sometimes hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, I just felt like the bosses were kind of easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wish that there was a lot more difficulty there.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the co-op ability, which is how well the game supports teamwork and collaboration between players. Alokin, what is your rating and your review on Split Fiction's co-op ability?
So for me, I put a 10 out of 10. I wrote down here Split Fiction balances individual gameplay with co op puzzles perfectly. Each challenge is unique while building on previous levels to keep gameplay fun and interesting. You'll rely on teamwork and learn new mechanics, with fresh new elements introduced every level that require a level of communication. And the game just really heavily relies on your ability to work as a team. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, you can't even play the game without a second player. You
You
can't even
can't.
log into the game.
Yeah.
So co-op ability definitely 10 out of 10. What about you? What'd you put?
100%. Yeah. 10 out of 10. I feel like Split Fiction and their previous game, It Takes Two, of course, they both deliver the ultimate co-op experience. Split Fiction, they merge two characters and their stories into one immersive world, which I think is what makes it unique the in comparison to It Takes Two and at large in the market of co-op games. And I feel like Split Fiction's natural progression and their authentic characters make you truly invested in their journey. And then with vertical split screens, distinct worlds, and different strengths for each character, teamwork, collaboration is literally key to succeed in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like Split Fiction has a collaborative gameplay that really keeps players connected and engaged from start to finish.
I love that. Well, it's an easy one. Overall
Yeah.
rating is going to be a 10 out of 10 with both of our 10s. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. Up next, we're going to talk about production quality. This is focusing on the design, artwork, the overall craft of the game's materials and components. Oceanwolv, what did you rate this?
I did a 10 out of 10, and I really feel that everything about Split Fiction's production quality is a 10 out of 10. It's 100. Like, they are so intentional about creating a high quality game.
Mm.
It's so beautiful, expansive, and connected seamlessly. They've exceeded their production quality through the big details like having side quests, having different outfits per world and per chapter, and having a really simple storyline. And then there's small details such as having animated leaves when you walk through them, and then the noise cancellation when you're underwater.
Mm.
It's these details that truly make the production quality so high and at such a high caliber that it's like a 10 out of 10, of course.
Love that. For me, I put a 10 out of 10 as well. No surprise. Um, there were a lot of moments that we were playing and we just had to pause the game and we just
Yeah,
admired the game's stunning detail. Like there
literally.
were so many times where we're like, "Hey, oh my gosh, did you see this?" Or, "Hey, look over here. You've got to look at my side of the screen
I
because this is so
know.
pretty." And we actually stopped playing to look, and then
Hmm.
we were like, "Okay, we got to take a screen grab of that. We got to remember this because
Seriously.
that's how beautiful this game was. It was breathtaking, and
Yeah,
on top of just the artwork itself, the overall story was fun. It was interesting and very emotional, but also like
yeah,
action oriented." And
yeah.
to me, every aspect of this game felt very intentional. You could tell
Yes.
nothing was left unturned. The
Yeah.
game felt really complete, and just kudos to the developers, all the artists, and everybody in the crew on this game because
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a lot of games that feel so complete. And so I would say definitely 10 out of 10. And actually makes our overall a 10 out of 10 since I think it's going to be
Yeah.
easy 10 out of 10 all the way. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just so great.
I do I love the way that you said breathtaking because I really think that that's like the overall word for Split Fiction. It's truly breathtaking. And one of the things that I really loved about the game is the story isn't forced.
Yeah.
You know, like so many games have a forced storyline and it's kind of too strenuous or long and unnecessary, but I feel like they did such the production quality of the game is so well made and intentional that they made a really good balance between the story and like, okay, now we're back in the game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of games that we've played, it's like, okay, we don't really care about the story. Can we just go back to playing? You know?
Yeah, the transitions were very smooth
Yeah.
and they made you care, and it because you care, it makes the stories and the worlds more rich because of that. Like, without giving spoilers away, it
Yeah.
means more. Each of the
Yes,
worlds mean more when you know more about the story, and they did a great job of tying those two things together.
definitely. Okay, so for the next section or category that we're going to be reviewing is gameplay mechanics, which talks about the game's rules, flow, balance, and how engaging and intuitive the gameplay feels. So for me, I rated it a 10 out of 10 because I really feel that the game is so intuitive that it almost feels too easy to play.
That's interesting.
There are only a handful of scenes where it took some time for us to figure out the challenges, but overall, the gameplay mechanics of Split Fiction is fairly easy for the beginner and casual gamer. And if you do get lost or kind of confused, just pay attention to the character narrations because they are hints for you. And the game will also guide you through the controls seamlessly. And, you know, like when you have to swing, um, there will be like a button on the screen that says RB or whatever kind of system that you play on for you
Mm.
to like hit that controller. So I feel like in that way it's very casual and beginner friendly. Um, but sometimes I do wish like it wasn't there so we could get challenged more, you
Mm.
know, and
Hmm.
that we could explore the world more. Like, okay, what do we do? You know, I like I like to be.
You did keep saying that during the game. It's like, I want to explore the world more. But
I
then there
know.
was one level where we explored for like 20 minutes and we couldn't find where to go. And we were like,
Yeah.
wait, I wish they would tell us what to do because we
Yeah.
were walking in circles.
Yeah. But overall, I do feel like it's very intuitive, almost to a point where it's a little bit too easy. But
Mm.
and then noting on the accessibility, which we already have, but just really want to highlight that it's very customizable for each character. So it really is going to help you tailor your own experience.
Yeah.
What did you put?
I put a 10 out of 10 as well. And I have to consider a lot of things here. I was kind of going back and forth between a 9 and a 10. But there was one thing that kind of tipped it over the edge for me. And so I'll start by saying that the game introduces so many mechanics. And you had mentioned earlier that you get that foundational set of gameplay mechanics, such as like jumping, dashing, hanging, swinging, whatever. And then it builds very, very sequentially in the sense, and it makes sense. So that when you get further in the game, you have to know all the mechanics in order to beat the game. So I feel like because they introduce so many mechanics, perfecting every single one is very tough. Like, it's almost impossible to do. But because the game developers were so intentional with the level of accessibility features, I was just so impressed. And so because of that, I have to give this really high rating. And I don't think I've seen many other games be this intentional about accessibility. And so I just have to give it that 10. I do think that there were some times where we could have used like some aim assist for you, I think, in some
Oh
levels.
my God,
And for me, being
literally.
able to fix the aerial controls a little bit when we're flying, I felt it wasn't as precise. But because we were able to adjust so many options in the features,
Yeah.
it allowed us to do that while we were playing the game. It didn't stop us from enjoying the game, and it was simple enough that you could learn them on the go and not
Yeah.
hinder the story. And I like what you said, that it almost felt too easy, because I believe that it should be easy. It shouldn't be like, oh, I have to learn this thing. What should be challenged is your skill in the game,
Yeah,
not your ability to
exactly.
learn this mechanic.
You're
And
correct.
good design is invisible. And in this moment, the mechanics are invisible. And that's how it should
Yes.
be.
Yeah, I love that differentiation you're talking about. Like the challenge shouldn't be about navigating the game and how to play it. The challenge should be the game itself and how like the difficulty of
The challenge.
yeah, and like the boss or the level that you're at, not necessary, not at all the mechanics of it, and I just appreciate that call out. So the overall rating we have together in the gameplay mechanics is a 10 out of 10.
And then the last category we're going to review is overall fun. And this is measuring how enjoyable and entertaining the game is for immediate play and a long-term replayability. For me, I put a 10 out of 10. This is a must play and my top game of the year contender so far. It is the quintessential local co-op experience, delivering a ton of action. It's incredibly fun, and the story is unforgettable. You will remember this game.
Yeah.
The game builds on everything It Takes Two did well. And I know sometimes it's not fair to judge a game from another game, especially because it's from the same development studio. But because they're so similar and because it's from Haze Light, I think it is worth it talking about the fact that they addressed all the flaws in It Takes
Yeah,
Two,
that's true.
and they refined every aspect and everything that we had discussed in our previous review for
Hmm.
It Takes Two. They fixed.
Yeah, they truly
They
did.
resolved that off. Obviously, they didn't read our review, but Split Fiction is a combination of all the positive things from that game brought into
Yeah.
a whole new light. And so from start to finish, I was literally fully immersed into the game. I felt like I was in this game.
Hmm.
And I even shed a few tears during some of the
Oh my
cutscenes. It
god,
was
literally
so
me too.
emotional. And how can they possibly do that in a video game? Like, they did it so well. The acting, the voiceovers, everything was so good. And I have to say, without giving any spoilers, the ending was so incredibly epic. And for me, it was the perfect way to end the game. And I really, really loved it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like right when we started playing this game, I felt like this is so much better than It Takes Two. Not that it's better, but that it's literally just a different story, but better challenges, and it's just more cohesive. I feel like they up leveled their own creativity.
Mm,
It's not like it's a competition that they have like, oh, It Takes Two versus Split Fiction, but it's pure like a creative evolution, and I just love that Hazelight did an amazing job of their newest game, Split Fiction, and I, of course, rated the overall fun of this game a 10 out of 10 because I really do feel like it's the best co-op game. Like,
mm-hmm.
there's no better co-op game that blends the perfect mix of character depth, a natural storyline, and a complete world.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like the elements of it, right? Like the different strengths that you have to have as gamers, the different gameplays that you like to experience and uh, grow in to progress at every level is just like it's clear, it's there, and this game is I feel like it's really perfect for any age, and it'll be a really really good game for people who love teamwork, who love stories, puzzles, strategy, stunning art, and accessibility options. And then while I do feel like replayability is a bit low, I feel like the hidden challenges and playing with someone new definitely make it worth revisiting.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend this game for you and your person for an unforgettable co-op experience because it really is. And I feel like if I were to sum up this game in like 3 words, it would be unforgettable, breathtaking, and immersive. What would your 3 words be to describe Split Fiction?
Um, that's a hard because there's so many elements to this game. I think the words that you shared are very accurate. Um, I would just say fun. Uh, Overall fun, emotional, and intense.
Yeah, those are good. I mean, you said that it's a game of the year contender.
It is. In my book, this it may even win.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely
it's
think it is.
it's definitely something that we've seen no co-op game do before. It Takes Two already won the game of the year when it came out 3 years ago, or I guess 4 years ago now, and I think that this one is going to win now. I think it
Yeah.
improved that much more.
So if you and your person are interested and excited to play Split Fiction, we have some tips for you to start the game. These are just helpful insights for you and your person. So for my tips, it's just about character selection. If you like or want to build on the skills of precision, climbing, and range attack, select Zoe. If you like or want to build on the skills of aiming, flight, or close combat, select Mio.
And I just want to add on to that because my tips are similar with character selection because each character has a set of mechanics that they'll be responsible for throughout the game more than the other. And although you'll share responsibilities at times, each character has to excel in one thing over the other. So Zoe's gameplay and story are a little slower paced and evolved around fantasy elements, whereas Mio's are a bit more intense, require action themes, and focus on sci-fi worlds. And then the last tip that I have for this game is don't forget to communicate. This game requires a lot of chatting and sharing what you see on your screen. You cannot play this without having some sort of microphone if you're playing online or sitting next to each other. It's incredibly important and the only way to have fun and have a smooth game experience because there were even times throughout the game where I have stopped talking and Oceanwolv would be like, "Oh, what do you see?" or "Good job." And you can't play this without that communication.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, even this game is really, it could be a really fun way for you to build your communication with your person. Like even if it's like with someone like a child or like a nibbling, or just someone new, it's going to be such a fun and unique way to build your communication, especially how you both approach challenges and succeed together or fail together and come back for a greater victory for that level. So it's going to be an amazing experience. And whoever character you select, it'll be so fun for you and your person.
Yeah. And I just want to wrap up the review. Of course, this was a pretty easy one because we had tens across the board. And so, Split Fiction, this is a must play. 10 out of 10. This is our
Literally.
first perfect rating game.
Yeah, it is. I'm so excited and happy for it.
It's well deserved.
Yeah.
And just TLDR to end out the review, Split Fiction is a breathtaking co op experience with stunning visuals, intuitive gameplay, and a deeply immersive story. Its accessibility options, seamless teamwork mechanics, and emotional narrative make it a Game of the Year contender. Although it's just so fun, we wish it were longer.
We hope that this helps you find your next two-player game. If you want a quick rundown of this review, check out our blog in the description. We have more two-player game reviews there so you and your person can find the perfect one.